Doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm feeling a little bit chilled with this weather. It's a nice, breezy, cool morning, isn't
It's
it?
it is, and it's been cool for a couple days now. I'm thinking that we're heading towards that windy season and getting a
The
little more
dry season,
breezes.
yeah,
Yeah.
the summer that we call here in Chiriquí, or at least here in Boquete, the windy season.
Well, I've decided that there are only two seasons here. There's wet and wind, and that's it.
It seems like it. It seems like it. And sometimes you get a little bit of a mixture of the two, but um,
Yeah, I mean, someone said to me, "What's it like in the summer and what's it like in the winter there?" And I said, "You mean wet and dry, wet and windy?"
yeah, we don't have summer and winter. We have the wet season
And
and
the windy season.
the windy season
And
up
they're
here,
both,
or dry
and they are
season.
really both lovely seasons. I mean,
Oh, I love them both.
yeah, I wouldn't want wind all year round, and I wouldn't want as much rain as we've had all year round. So
Oh, we've had an incredible amount of rain lately.
we have. Has that gotten a lot of people sick?
I haven't noticed sick as in a lot of sore throats or colds or anything, but yeah, definitely allergies are picking up. And I'm not sure if that's because it's causing the plants to bloom or if it's the mold spore count is going up. It's a lot of people are allergic to molds, and that's what happens when it's really humid and in our area.
Well, mold's not healthy for you to be breathing anyway, is it?
No, I wouldn't think most people would want to be breathing on purpose mold, but there are specific groups of people that are more sensitive to molds,
Uh huh.
that actually get really bad allergies, usually nasal allergies, eyes, skin, that kind of thing. So, yeah, this is not a place to come if you have severe allergies
To
to
dampness and
dampness
mold, yeah,
and
right.
dust. Well, dust isn't as much of a problem here as it seems to be down in the more hot, humid areas. This is more of a cooler climate, not very dry, unfortunately, but it seems to cut back on a little bit on the dust mites.
So if I came to you with a sensitivity to mold,
Uh huh.
because mold is everywhere you go here.
It is.
Not necessarily always in your house, but it could be just outside, and sometimes it's in the house and you don't see it.
Right.
So, what do you recommend people do?
Well, every once in a while, getting a bucket with Clorox diluted in water and wiping everything down, walls, floors, everything. You know, if you've got the mini blinds, wipe your mini blinds down around the windows, on top of the windows, because that's going to kill the mold spores.
Right.
If you're really, really sensitive, I wouldn't recommend that you do it yourself because you're going to be stirring those up and breathing them in unless you're wearing a mask and other protective equipment. Using a dehumidifier. But you need a pretty large one around here, or you need multiple dehumidifiers, and one's just not going to cut it.
It really depends on the size of
The house,
the
the
house.
room.
Mine is pretty tiny. I have one, and it seems to keep it down.
I'm sure, and you
But
probably
I'm
have to
emptying
drain
it. But I'm
multiple times.
emptying it sometimes up to 3 times a day.
Exactly. This
And
is our
it's a big
climate.
one.
This is our climate. This is what we deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I keep it running all year round, 24/7. And in the windy season, I'm still emptying it at least once a day because there's still a lot of humidity in
Oh
the
yeah,
air.
oh yeah. Panama is just a humid country. We're a tropical country,
Right.
regardless if we're in the mountains or not.
Which is why we have all these beautiful birds and all these beautiful flowers and
All
all
the-
these wonderful growth of plants.
All the critters that we get around here, yeah. I was just over at your house the other day, and I saw so many hummingbirds and sangre de toro, which is the one with the red patch on its chest, and then there's the other one with the red patch on its tail, which I don't know the name of.
Yeah.
But so many different creatures to watch, and then you get the black squirrels
And the brown squirrels.
and the brown squirrels, but you don't see the gray ones. I have seen very few gray squirrels up
Are
here.
there gray squirrels in Panama?
There are, but I see them more on in the Panama City area, over by the canal. I saw a lot of gray, and here I was unaccustomed because they're brown or black, and and seeing them is kind of wow, different squirrels here.
Yeah, I was the first time I saw a black squirrel here, and then I saw nothing but black squirrels, and then all of a sudden I saw a brown squirrel, and then I have a few that come to steal the food from my bird feeder, and I'm not happy about it. But Chica, my dog, chases them away.
Yeah, I saw
But-
Chica chasing them away.
Yeah, that's her favorite game. But but I get some that are a combination of black and brown.
They're
And I'm
interesting.
thinking, well, hey.
they're crossbreeding there.
And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I love watching all the animals around your place, though. It's really neat because you put out the bird feeders, you put out the fruit, you put out the bird seed, you put out the hummingbird feeders, so you get a lot.
Yes, I do. And I'm getting right now, there are more hummingbirds coming, different varieties of hummingbirds coming as we get closer to the next season.
Right.
Summer.
The migration of the different types of birds.
Well, I heard from a friend of mine who knows a lot about birds that a lot of the birds here migrate by altitude.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they go north and south or
Right.
east and west. They go up and down depending on the season,
In our
whether they
particular
need a
area,
warmer
yes.
or a cooler climate.
In our particular area, yes. In Panama City, they'll actually, up on Ancon Hill in Ancon, they have, what do they call the people that study the birds?
Bird lovers?
Yeah, but there's another. There's a scientific term. Come on.
Yes, I
I
don't-
forgot. I
yeah.
forgot. Anyways, they come in. They count the different species coming from up north that come
Right.
down through Panama. So it's kind of cool.
I actually went to Israel a couple years ago. There's a place there, Argan Hahula, and Israel is on the path between Europe and Africa for birds that migrate between the two.
Oh, neat.
And twice a year, they have thousands, and I mean multiples of thousands, tens of thousands of birds that go through the country. And there's two places, one in the south of the country and one in the north of the country, depending on the species of bird where they stop. And it's just an amazing thing to see these thousands of birds that
It
come in
must
at
be
night
awesome.
and go off in the morning.
It must be awesome. Unless you're allergic to birds, then it's not so awesome.
Yeah, well, then you wouldn't
No,
go
I'm
there.
kidding. I'm kidding. So, anyways, back to the mold issue. Yeah.
Yes.
So, especially in the rooms that you most live in, you want to keep those extremely clean and wipe down all the walls at least once a month. Probably here, you want to do it once a week. If you're really sensitive, then you try and enclose that particular room that you spend the most time in, especially if you're sleeping in the room. The room that you sleep in, you want to try and block out anything that can come through any types of allergens that can come through the window. Really wipe down your own room, keep your dehumidifier going, and consider getting an air conditioner if it's just not getting dry enough, because the air conditioner will actually dry out the air more.
Oh,
Not
wow.
that we need the cooler air, but it'll help keep that room filtered, for one, because it has
Right.
special filters to filter out the mold particles, and it also will help dry the air. And that's what a lot of allergy sufferers need.
But when you're using an air conditioner, you're recirculating the air that's in there? You're just taking the humidity out of it. Is that right?
You're taking the humidity out of it. You're recirculating the air. It's actually drains. If you ever saw one of the split type of air conditioners, it has a hose that goes outside and drains
Right.
the moisture that it
Right.
collects. And it does have the filter. And like I said, you do have to do periodic maintenance, probably more frequently here, to keep those filters clean and working properly to clean out the air. So
Well, you do that on your dehumidifier also. They have filters.
Exactly.
And
You have to do it on those.
You have to clean those out. In fact, when I first got here and the dehumidifier started flashing, filter, filter, filter. And I'm like, where's the filter? I couldn't, I was looking
Yes.
I wasn't looking for the thing on the back of it. That's part of it is the filter.
Right.
I was looking for something that
up front or on the side. Or,
went into a slot somewhere like the
Yeah.
filter on a heater in the States would.
Uh-huh.
But
Right.
yeah, no, and I clean that filter now every other week because I don't want the dust that's accumulated in it in my air.
Right.
So
Right, exactly. You don't want to recirculate that into the air. That's not going to help you any, especially if you're an allergy sufferer.
right.
But they do have very good filters now. Usually there's a pre-filter, like one of those charcoal type filters, and then you have the HEPA filter behind, and depending on what kind of units you're using.
Right. And they have those in the vacuum cleaners also.
Yeah, you do have to clean out your vacuum cleaners. I think I have a vacuum cleaner that has like 3 different filters I have to take out and clean, and it's a lot of work. But Sorry, the phone is buzzing and I'm trying to figure out if it's bothering the mic or not. So that in that aspect, yes, we do have a lot of humidity, and it's not good if you're allergic to molds to be in this area or in Panama at all, really, because the whole entire country has a lot of humidity.
Right. But it is good for your skin.
Oh yeah, definitely good, especially if you live down by the beach, the salt water.
Really?
Yeah, salt water does amazing on skin.
Because I lived in a dry climate in Colorado for many years, and I was applying moisturizer 3-4 times a day. My skin was flaking and dry all the time. But down here, I mean, if I put it on once a day, I'm fine. And I don't even know that sometimes I really need to use it.
Right.
My skin just isn't as flaky and
right.
dry.
And I find when I go up north, if I go to Florida or somewhere, that my skin gets really, really dry. You would expect Florida to have as high a humidity as here, but during some times of year, especially around the winter months, is when my skin will get really dry if I go visit.
Yeah.
And I find myself using a lot of moisturizer.
Okay, Doc, I have a question for you. What's the most common thing you normally see this time of year?
This time of year, what do we see? Diarrhea, gastrointestinal problems.
Why?
Various reasons. Usually it has something to do with the water pipes breaking.
And not boiling the water?
And not boiling the water, or not having sufficient filters on your house to filter out the water.
And not cleaning the filters correctly?
And not cleaning the filters correctly. Or, right now we're not really eating street food because there's not any vendors in the streets, really. There's restaurants. But sometimes the vendors, you don't know if they're washing the food with filtered water, or preparing the food with filtered water.
Or serving you a glass of water, you don't know where that water came from.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I almost never drink water in a restaurant in Panama, because I'm never 100% sure where their water comes from.
Right, you don't. In Panama City, they have a very good filtration system, especially in the Canal Zone area, because it was installed by a group of very good engineers, and the water is very, very clean. Over here, on the other hand, we get it straight from the rivers, and we didn't have a water treatment facility, or a very large water treatment facility. They just built one, they just finished one, and they're still trying to get it all connected for all the areas. In Santa Lucia, we still are, I don't know if we get our water from that water filtration plant.
I don't think so.
I
don't think we've been told we can use the water yet.
No, I don't think.
But even if, let's say they started it, the pipes are already contaminated.
Right, but those should flush out.
Yeah, I would imagine it would take a long time to flush out some of the stuff in those pipes.
Granted, they have to change those pipes, because what we do is we use the PVC pipes, and those break often, and they have to be changed out often. And but inside your house, yeah, you probably would want to run some kind of bleach solution or something to help kill the.
Right. I think there's a company here that does that.
I'm sure
That'll come in and do it.
Yeah,
and your water
probably.
tanks also need to be flushed out from time to time, because they grow all kinds of things in them.
Yeah, if you look into your water tanks and you look at the bottom of the tank, you'll see the sludge.
Yeah, and I'm not sure you want to be drinking that water either.
No, probably not. I don't drink it. I bathe in it. I use it to cook, but we do check the filters all the time. We do periodic maintenance on our tanks, and we got triple filters, so.
Right.
But actually, as a drinking water, I use bottled water.
So, you said you bathe in it. Can you if the water is really contaminated, can you get infections from it?
Probably not in your skin. No.
Even if you had like an open sore?
Probably not.
Not if you're lathering up real well?
Right. Because these bacteria or parasites, normally it's parasites in the water, and it really requires that you ingest it. So probably.
So don't drink the water in your bathtub?
Yeah. Do you have a bathtub?
No.
I don't know too many people that do around here.
There are some people that do. I saw a friend of mine posted a picture that they were house sitting and there was a bathtub there.
Oh, yes, I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very happy. They were very, very happy. Actually, I don't like baths.
I don't, even when I had a bathtub, I didn't really use it.
Yeah, to me, it's like I'm soaking in my own dirt.
Well, that's one way to think about it, I guess.
Well, I mean, not that I'm a dirty, filthy
No, I know.
person. I mean, I shower normally every day. Take care of myself, but it's still, you go into a shower to get clean.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to assume that there's something on you that you don't want to bathe in. When I did take baths, I would get, to relax. Then I would get up and turn on the shower and shower it all off.
So I don't know if it was the call that I was getting because the number didn't come up, or if Dr. Tour was trying to get a hold of me, my father, the allergist, and he was asking if we needed any help with any of the allergy questions. I guess specifically your question on molds. And I told him he was welcome to call in to my normal cell phone, and if he wanted to add anything. I'm not sure if he's listening now at the moment, but go ahead and call in if you would like to.
Hi, Shannon's dad.
If you would like to add something to the mold discussion, you're welcome to call in, and I'll take your call.
I would find that interesting. I found a new type. I don't see any black mold anywhere, although I'm sure it could be in my walls between the walls. But I found a white mold growing out I have a step in my closet, and there's a place where the cement isn't sealed, and there's this white mold that's coming out of it, which I looked up and they said, don't breathe it. And don't touch it. Clean it off, but don't touch it. Wear gloves when you clean it off.
Hey, Dr. Tour, have you heard of a white mold? Chime in anytime. No, I've never seen the white molds. I've seen, the moss and then the kind of blackish, brownish molds and orangey molds and, all those things that tend to grow on steps and on walls when you don't, when we're in rainy season especially.
I think this is specific to cement. I don't think it's in anything else. And I don't understand why it's growing there because I use my dehumidifier. That's where I keep the dehumidifier running, is in that room, because I keep fans running in the other parts of the house.
Oh, that's another point. Clean off your fan blades periodically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've got a call here. Hello, Dr. Tour. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Did you have something to add to the discussion on mold?
Right. Oh, that's another point. Well, I just got the last bit of it. With mold, the main thing, mold needs nutrition and moisture. Can you hear me? Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Did you have something to
That's strange. Do you have your radio on, Dad?
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Bolivar, can we hear him?
If you take your phone in, he can hook your phone into
No,
a
not
mic.
this phone.
He can't hook that phone in?
No.
He tried to hear us through the phone. No,
Okay.
maybe he's hearing the YouTube page.
Okay.
He have a little delay.
Uh-huh.
If he can hear us from the phone, it's perfect.
Okay.
And put on
It's on
Put it on speaker.
it's on speaker.
It's on the speaker.
That's better. Now do you hear me well?
I hear you fine, Jen.
Bolivar, can we hear him on the air?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what were you saying about mold?
Well, we see a lot of people who have mold in Florida. We have a rainy season of 4 or 5 months, and mold loves moisture. And if you're allergic to mold, you can have a problem. Mold needs a couple of things to survive. Moisture, obviously. I missed part of the program. I just came in.
Uh-huh.
Moisture and nutrients. And mold can certainly live on drywall. It doesn't need light. It will go behind the drywall and so on. Mold's a survivor.
Uh-huh.
Biophilic molds that'll grow at freezing temperatures. And the main thing to get rid of mold would be to cut off the moisture if you can. I don't think the color matters too much. We have many patients say, well, I've got black mold. And they're probably referring to Stachybotrys. But mold, as you know, comes in all different colors, and you mentioned,
Right.
white
Uh-huh.
and blue and so forth. Now, if you're allergic, you will have a problem. What we do with our patients is, if they suspect problems with mold, and many of them do, we test them. And any allergist can do that. We find out what kind of mold they're allergic to and so forth. Here we have the ability to identify the mold through mold surveys in the home or
Uh-huh.
office. But it's not terribly important. People are very concerned about toxins from mold.
Right.
If you have enough mold, you could have a problem. But generally, it isn't a problem. Everyone knows about Stachybotrys. Aspergillus has flavotoxins, Aspergillus flavus.
Right.
Uh,
So there's many,
People have
there's,
problems with
there,
their lungs. We always check to make sure they don't have acute bronchopulmonary aspergillosis, which simulates asthma. It's in people that are very sensitized to that particular mold. Aspergillus can grow in a lung and cause aspergilloma. We have histoplasmosis, a lot in Panama, as you know.
uh-huh.
Where you've got bats, you've got guano and histoplasmosis, which was discovered in Panama by Dr. Darling, is in a lot
That's
of
interesting.
attics and in caves.
Right. The Smithsonian Institute did a lot of studies on the bat caves and the bat guano and the histoplasmosis.
I see.
So you're saying that that molds basically require moisture as well as nutrients, and the nutrients are they can even be your drywall.
Sure, because drywall, any is that cellulose, but there could be organic matter. I know your guest has mentioned the cement, or organic
Right,
matter
cement.
on cement.
Uh-huh.
Usually, right now, probably in Florida, when it's raining, mold is just as high. Our mold spore count is probably super high right now, because within hours after a rainfall, mold spores start to grow on the little stem called hyphae, mycelia. And within hours, the spores are ready.
So just after a couple of hours, we could see mold. So just after a couple of hours, you could see mold spores start to grow.
5 hours.
Uh-huh.
And they're light. Their diameter is between 3 and 7 microns, about a tenth the diameter of your average pollen grain. So if there's a little front after a rain, a little breeze, they'll go airborne. Now, most people wouldn't know, and it wouldn't matter. But if you're allergic, you would know.
So what can you do if you're allergic to help control the mold in your living space?
Okay, well, in your living space, if you have, I guess it isn't that way today, or if you have very tight construction, we'll see condensation on walls and around windows. Certainly in a bathroom, if you run the shower, there's often condensation. And a good example would be if you have a tiled shower, the mold prefers the grout. It doesn't
Right.
live on ceramic. It can't.
Uh-huh.
The grout will have nutrition. Now, if it's just little things like a shower, then spraying is fine.
Okay.
Kill it. But if you have mold on a wall, you could spray it unless you have asthma. Then you've got a second problem.
Right. You can't get most drywall, but we don't use drywall too much here.
Particularly if you've got a pipe that's leaking up behind the shower, or
Uh-huh.
if you had a tub, and so forth. So you want to cut the source. Painting over with antioco, with pintura antioco, is good for just so long, and it will come right back. It's,
Okay.
Probably helped our house in Cologne.
Uh-huh.
Right back.
Right. No, the mold additives in the paint don't really stop the mold here, it seems. I don't know if we just got a very strong mold or or
Maybe.
I've noticed that here in Panama.
That's right. And you'll see on cement, as you know,
We would.
certainly in Panama, it's an orangey colored mold that grows.
He can't hear.
And again, you got to, if you can, now if it's just from the rain outside,
Uh-huh.
inside of the building, you can scrub it off with, and just keep it clean.
I think Cynthia had a comment about here in Panama the mold.
What I've noticed in my bathroom where I live is that the water pipes that they use behind the walls here, I think they sweat, and so you'll have mold that's coming literally through from the other side of your wall into the bathroom or into the kitchen or into the room where these pipes are sweating behind. And it won't be all year round, it'll be part of the year. And and all of a sudden you'll see like, oh, that's interesting. That wall has a line going down it, and that line is actually where that water pipe is behind the wall.
That's interesting.
Have you noticed anything like that in Panama? I mean, in Florida?
Did you hear the description?
I missed some of it, Shannon.
Uh-huh.
I heard about it coming through the wall.
Right, from where the water pipe is. She said basically certain times a year she'll notice that the pipes are sweating behind the walls, and she can actually see like a mark on the wall where the pipe is and know that pipe is sweating. And she asked if you've ever noticed anything like that in Florida.
I think she's right. She nailed it. I think, condensation, again, we see it a lot in air conditioning. In the schools during the summer, the AC, cycles on, cycles off. And often the ductwork, then, you've got condensation. It cools down, then it warms up. And, of course, you get sweating, whether it's a pipe or whether the ductwork has moisture in it. And that promotes mold growth. I'm not sure how you could stop that
Unless you don't use the AC. But do you recommend, for example, in a place where it's really hard to control the moisture and control the mold spores, to go ahead and invest in an air conditioning for that room to help dry out the air?
Well, certainly, it may help to some extent, but the source is still going to be there. Mold can survive. It's better to have dry air, whether you're allergic to dust mites or mold.
Uh-huh.
And cool air doesn't carry as much moisture.
Right.
But
And
if it's coming from behind the drywall, I'm not sure that would help too much.
No, probably not. You would still have to kill that mold. But to help, after you've actually controlled the source of your mold, and to help keep it from forming again, possibly an air conditioning as well as a dehumidifier, that type of thing could help control the growth.
Right. Well, the drier it is, the better it is. But again, I can think of the opposite happening. You have a very cold room with the air conditioning, and then the outside windows will have plenty of moisture. And that may happen behind the drywall.
That's true. That's true.
Warm wall in the outside. Maybe in Boquete it doesn't get hot enough.
No, up here it probably gets, maybe 80, 82, 84. That's probably about the warmest we find.
Yeah, I guess we have to think practically. Certainly I think the filters, again, are important. And I know your guest was saying they change the filters frequently.
Uh-huh.
I think that's pretty
Clean them, yeah.
important.
Okay.
Reminds me, I better do.
Well, we appreciate you calling in and talking to us a little bit about the mold. Cynthia, do you have any other question for him?
Nope.
Okay.
Just when are you going to come visit your daughter in Panama?
Oh, she wants to know when you're going to come visit here.
As soon as Panama is open, but I don't think they want too many people.
That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's in 2 weeks. You can come in 2 weeks. No, I don't know that they're blocking anyone from any state or country.
No.
You will have to do a rapid test when you get here.
Or do one before you
Or-
arrive.
Or do a test before you arrive, but it has to be 48 hours, within 48
That
hours.
was 90 hours.
They changed
Is it
it,
to
and it seems they
48?
changed it back. Yeah, I'm very confused. But but yeah, October 12th they're supposed to open up, and they'll actually do the rapid test. And if it comes out negative, then I guess you are free to roam.
If you get to if you get
living in
to
Quebec
immigration
have
here
people
without a
rent
current
apartments
test
and
from the
want to
states,
visit,
oops.
But do they have to stay 2 weeks in quarantine there if they're negative, or is there no?
No.
quarantine.
Something just, if I understand correctly, Cynthia, something just came out in the news
There's
saying.
no quarantine if the test is negative.
Right, not for tourists, anyways.
Right. And I don't think there's one for citizens or residents
Not
either.
for citizens or residents.
But
okay.
I believe that if you are positive, if you're not a citizen, you can't enter the country.
Right.
If you are a citizen, you go into quarantine.
Or a resident,
Or a
citizen or
resident,
resident.
go
Yeah. So
into
if you do
quarantine.
come up to positive, they'll actually take you to a government hotel if you come up positive on your entrance test.
I see.
Yeah.
So don't flunk the test.
Yeah. Don't flunk the test. You would have to stay 2 weeks otherwise.
Can you drive through other provinces? Can you go through Coquet or Veraguas? Or
I think you can travel to wherever your home of residence is, or whoever you're staying with is. I think you're allowed to travel as long as your test is negative.
I'm not sure how you'd travel though, unless they're not letting you get on a
Yeah.
bus and they're not letting you get on a plane.
Well, there are buses running, and
There are,
and-
but if you're testing positive,
oh
they're
no, if you're positive, no, they'll put you in a hotel.
right.
They'll put you in a hotel to keep track of your case. Yeah.
But even if you live here, how are you going to get from the airport to like Boquete?
if you're
without-
positive,
if
no,
you're
they won't let
positive,
you. I don't think they'll let you if you're positive, but I think he means if you're negative. If you
if
can
you're
get your-
negative, you can get
through
wherever
the
you
different
wanna go.
provinces. Yeah. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So there are ways of doing it.
There are ways of doing it, and
There's always ways of doing it.
yeah, not always the best ways, but there are ways of doing it. All right. Well, we look for. What's that?
Oh, no, that was a silly joke. I said maybe you could bring your bicycle with you on the airplane. It's a nice long ride.
Yeah, there are people that actually do that. They backpack through Panama or ride bikes through Panama, but obviously with the COVID thing going on, they haven't been recently. But
Well, they're normally tourists, and
Yes, yes.
there's no tourists coming in right
yes,
now.
no tourists.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you, and we hope to have you back on the show again very soon.
Well, that would be fine. Thank you.
All right, thanks for calling in.
Right, you are, Shem.
All right, bye for now. Well, that was nice
nice,
to
yeah.
that was nice to get the call in so that we could get a little bit more information. So I stand corrected. ACs are not necessarily going to help because of the having to control the actual mold. If it were just a factor of drying out the air and stopping the mold growth, that would be one thing. But he says that the change between the wall of the outside air and the inside air can actually create more humidity
And more
and-
condensation.
and more condensation and more growth.
Like what's happening
With the
behind the
sweating
wall with the pipes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I would have not, for dust spores, yes. For dust mites, we do drier air is better, obviously. And
Right.
you tend to try and keep that air as dry as possible, and AC helps dry out that air. But you don't have to worry. You're not thinking of mold that would grow with the extra condensation. So, because of the change in temperature. And here we don't have a way to seal the room real well.
No, not even screens. There is not one screen where I live that actually
No,
works in conjunction with the window it's on.
no, they don't.
There's always a little gap.
There is. Even when you slide open the window, there's a gap between that screen and they get in between.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, so you and I were talking the other day. Monday, 2 days from now, stores are opening up.
That's right.
We don't know which stores here in Boquete will.
Right.
Tuesday, the Tuesday
Restaurants.
market is opening.
The Tuesday market, yeah.
you know,
Restaurants are open for 25%.
25% capacity.
for
Even
dining
though
in.
our hours haven't been extended, but the restaurants are still open up until they're
Until they have to, yeah.
until you so don't go to eat at 7 o'clock
Or even
or
6:30.
quarter to 7
yes,
because
yes,
you
because you're not
you
going
rush
to
your meal.
Yes.
Right. But Are you going to be running out to restaurants? Do you
Um,
advise it?
there's so many people that are anxious to get out there to socialize again. The fact is that it's still a danger if you've got underlying health conditions. I don't recommend that you go running out and eating in a restaurant,
Right.
because the other diners, although you're spaced apart, they're not going to be wearing masks. You can't wear a mask and eat.
No.
So we know that the virus travels through the air. In aerosols as well as in droplets. And so if you are at risk, it's probably not the best idea right now to go running out and eating in a restaurant.
So I'm going to make an assumption that most of these tables are going to be at least 6 feet apart.
Yeah,
And you're going to
yes.
be eating with people that you normally would eat with.
Yes.
So in that circumstance, I think you're a little protected.
Uh-huh.
But if the tables are right next to each other, and some restaurants, I know that some restaurants have the room and the capacity to be mostly seated outside,
Right. Like Big
rather than
Daddy's
indoors.
has a nice
right?
outdoor
Big Daddy's,
patio. Yeah.
Mike's does also. I think
Right.
they have some outdoor space.
If it's well
Atos has a
circulated,
couple outdoor tables.
you want good circulation because most of the restaurants and the stores even are small enclosed areas, and
Right.
you don't get a lot of circulation.
Well, I have 2 fears about going to stores right now. One, they've been closed for a long time.
Right.
I don't know how much mold and whatnot is in those stores right now
I've heard
either.
it's really bad in the malls that were closed down, that they weren't running the air conditioning and that kind of thing. So
Well, that would be true of individual stores and buildings also.
yes,
So,
yes.
And I'm assuming that they've been inside cleaning them up, but then you have the merchandise. What's been going on with that merchandise?
I've heard there has been some loss of merchandise due to the mold, and fabric and things deteriorate quickly with mold.
Right. Oh yeah, leather, especially leather real
gets
bad.
nasty,
And,
yeah.
What about and then there's the thing like, okay, so I want to buy a new shirt. I need a new shirt,
Right.
which I don't, and I'm not running to buy one. But do I really want to go into a store and buy something someone else has just tried on?
I really don't think they're going to allow people to try on the merchandise
Or return it?
or return it because of that. I don't know how well it's transmitted through clothing, how long it will last on clothing, but there is always that risk, and you don't want to have someone get sick because they're going into a changing room and they're trying on clothing that someone 5 minutes ago tried on and maybe sneezed, coughed, and has the virus. That's a risk. You don't want a whole lot of people in the store either.
Well, I assume that there's going to be rules again for how many people, just like the grocery store has rules of how many people can be in the store.
And you've seen how that worked out in the grocery stores.
Well, you have lines outside waiting to get in as other people get out.
Yeah, and
You
you've
know.
got a bunch of people. I've been into these stores, and they're tiny, and you aren't that separated from people. You can't help but come up on somebody. The
But
good
you're
thing
not.
is,
But you're not standing next to them for 5 minutes at a time.
no, you're not, and you're all wearing masks. Like I
Right.
said, that aerosol and those droplets can hang in the air. So even if that person has left that aisle and you go in, you can be contaminated, but your mask is protecting you. Your alcohol gel or whatever is protecting you. Getting in and out as quickly as possible is the best
Right.
option. And please, if you have any symptoms, don't go to a store. Send somebody to go get your, or order it.
You know,
A lot
you're
of these
talking
places-
about if you have any symptoms, don't go out. I got a message from somebody I know that lives in the States who is arguing with me over a different subject altogether, but mentioned to me that as far as he's concerned, he had COVID last week. He was very, very sick with it. And of course, he asked for the medicine that you're not supposed to be taking it. And he said, and that helped him a lot. And then he said that he went to a place where he works. And I went, you're kidding me. You went to some place you
week
work-
later?
A week later.
Oh.
And he
Yeah.
said, well, once you are shedding, you're no longer contagious. And I'm like,
shedding the virus is contagious.
Of course it is. That's what it means.
Exactly.
I mean,
Eh.
and this is a very smart person on
Yes.
most levels, but really believes that all the, that things are a hoax and this is not true and that the virus isn't that serious. And I'm like,
Yeah, well, it is kind of misleading when you look at the numbers and when you look at the number of deaths and the percentage of deaths per infection is relatively low. Relatively, as in, yes, everybody that gets it is not dying. But it doesn't mean necessarily a 98% survival rate just because the death.
yeah, but everybody who gets a stroke doesn't die from a stroke.
Right, but they
do have
consequences.
Lots of consequences.
Right.
And the virus, it appears, is leaving consequences also.
Even in children, I mean, we have the blood clots that cause the inflammation in the arteries and the inflammatory syndromes in the children, which does damage to the organs. It's not that they get the syndrome, they get over it, and they're risk-free. They can continue to have symptoms or health problems later on in life.
Nobody knows the extent of it yet.
Exactly. We don't know. It's only been, 6 months here in Panama that we know of.
Right.
And in the States, maybe since December or a little bit before, they assume. So it hasn't. We've studied tongue-tied. Other viruses for more than 10 years. We know a whole lot more about them. They don't just, like the cold virus, they're still studying the cold virus. Yeah. They're still studying other coronavirus. You don't learn it all just within the first 6 months or even a year.
No, and interestingly enough, my oldest son and a group of his friends decided to go on a golf trip out of state. They live in the States, and they were flying someplace else. And all four of the men, because they are men, all four of I don't have babies anymore. It's so sad.
No.
Anyway, but all four of the men
But they're still boys.
Yeah, well, it's my son, my boy. Anyway, but they all decided to get tested.
Uh-huh.
And my son turned up that he had COVID. He had
and never knew.
And he had, he remembers having like flu-like symptoms back in January, right after he got back from New York.
Oh, that's what.
But that was before we knew even COVID existed.
Right.
So maybe that's when he had it, or maybe he was asymptomatic afterwards. No way to know. Thankfully, nobody else in his house got it.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that's scary about this virus is you really don't know.
You don't know. You might have had symptoms. A lot of people here say, "Well, I had a really bad cold or a really bad flu back in December and November, and I think I already had COVID, so I can't get it again." Well, we're finding that that's not true. One, we don't know how long immunity lasts, and also, there was a really bad flu going around at the time, and it probably...
Because it was flu season.
Right, and it probably wasn't COVID.
Right.
Excuse me, I don't have COVID, I just got a cough.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, it's this mask. I think we were talking about masks giving us the cough, wearing a long time.
Yeah, my mask, I have a tendency to have a dry throat.
Uh-huh.
And when I wear my mask long enough, I have like this need to drink water or something,
Yeah.
but I can't because my mask is on, and I'm like, yeah.
Do you get
and
that?
I get a runny nose from it too.
I just always have a stuffed up or runny nose, so it's just part of my allergies.
Yeah, well, one of the things I talked to you about the other day is the fact that I have a postnasal drip.
Right.
And the mask does not help that.
And do you have a phobia of going into a store and coughing or sneezing that somebody's going to turn around and say, "Get out"?
Well, if somebody coughs or sneezes near me, I'm like a little jittery about it,
Right.
know. So
I
yeah,
think
and
that's
I assume that if I cough near someone else, if it's one cough, then I'm like, okay. But if it's like a continuation of a dry cough kind of thing, I'm like, I think I'm going to go to the other part of the store now.
I had a wet cough for a while. I had a really bad
I thought you were going to say you had a dream.
No, I have a dream. No, I had a really wet cough at one point during the height of the COVID infection. And I was in a store, and I just had that urge because you get that tickle in your throat to
Right.
cough, and I knew it was going to be one of those coughs that was going to make people freak out. And I had to go into a little corner and try to cough as quietly as possible.
I have well, here's a question.
Uh-huh.
You're a healthcare professional.
Uh-huh.
You see patients all the time.
Right.
Have you yourself been tested at all?
I have not yet been tested.
Have you thought about being tested?
I had thought about being tested, but on the other hand, I haven't had any symptoms yet that I know of. I know a lot of people are asymptomatic. But at this point, until, they say, well, you should go out and get tested, I'll go out and get tested. I did not in the beginning because the tests seemed to have a problem.
Right.
And we can all be honest about that. There were a lot of false negatives, actually, not just positive. We had a lot of false negatives.
That's scary.
And that's scary. And really, the decision on my part at the moment was not to get tested. I would like to. I'm curious to know. But I'm trying to think of the best test. I know if I do a nasal swab, that is more of if you're infected right now type of thing, within a couple of weeks of being infected.
Right.
And antibody tests, they tell you a little bit, but sometimes, it's not a whole lot of information. It can also come back negative when it's not negative, or but I'm waiting. Basically because I would have to go down to a hospital, ask for the test, say
There's
which
no
one I
labs
want.
here in Paquete?
I believe somebody is doing the antibody test here. And I would think that if I was going to do it, I'd probably do the swab just to see. Maybe one of these days I'll go down and get it done. But really, unless I'm asymptomatic or I've been exposed to an actual known case that's in its infectious stage, I didn't see the need to go running out and getting it done right away.
Hey, I see a little car pull up here.
Oh, is
And-
this our friends from Pizzeria Brasileirissimo?
It is.
Oh.
It is. Oh, my goodness, folks. I didn't realize. I know she brings it to my show on
Yeah,
Monday
sometimes
mornings,
she does
on
come often
Barbara's
here.
show. But I
She does
didn't
come
realize.
often
Yeah, wow. Lucky you. Hey, you haven't said any of this in Spanish today.
I haven't been. Hola. Been actually doing the bilingual show recently.
Yeah, what happened?
I got lazy.
That's not, well, why don't you tell people in Spanish what's going on?
Okay, entonces hoy tenemos nuestra amiga de restaurante Pizzeria Brasileirissimo. Ella nos trajo una pizza. Oh, huele bien sabroso. Huele a ajo. ¿Qué más tiene? Tiene jamón.
Olá, como estão todos? Buenos dias, bendiciones. Sim, essa é uma pizza moda boquetenha. É uma pizza, uma das novas pizzas. Tem jamón,
It has ham.
jamón, bacon, ajo e brócolis.
Okay.
Muito rica.
She brought us a pizza from Pizzeria Brasileirissimo. It has bacon, ham. It's got a little bit of broccoli. It's got garlic. It's a new flavor for
Sim.
boquete.
Esse é
For
a
boquete.
moda boquetenha. Sim, a
Moda
pizza
boqueteña,
boquetenha.
yes. It smells delicious. It looks delicious.
Hey,
chime in.
Yom Kippur is Monday, and I can't eat this.
Oh
before Yom
no!
Kippur.
Oh no! Yes,
Vegetarian.
yes. No. She's Jewish, and she
Oh,
follows
see.
the Jewish high holidays.
Yeah, but even without the holiday, I don't normally eat pork products.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Being Jewish, a lot of
Right.
Jewish respect the no pork.
Right.
But
But it looks. But I will tell everybody now. These are I know they make amazing pizzas there because I've had them
I'm gonna go
several
ahead and
times.
try
and
a piece
I've had
here.
pasta from there, and you know, and this pizza looks absolutely gorgeous. It's got some cheese on it, a little bit of salsa on it.
I'm distancing. I've
It's
got,
got
my mask
red
off,
onion.
but
It's
I'm
got
gonna try
red
this.
onion on it. It's got
Yes.
ham. It's got
little bit of
bacon.
cheese and
A little
some
a little broccoli on it. Some tomato, I think, is in there. Little pieces of tomato.
Tomato.
And,
Tomato sauce.
and I
think
thought
some
I heard
pepperoni.
something about garlic also.
There is garlic.
There
you can
is
smell
gar-
it.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, it looks
Bolívar,
it looks
come
as
try the-
tasty. How tasty is it?
It's excellent.
So
I'm sorry, I took off my mask. But.
So that's okay. So this their restaurant or their pizza parlor is, as we call them, the pizza parlor is located down the street, across the way, and down the street towards the park from
Across from
Establis-
the Los Establos Plaza.
No, not anymore. They've
Ahora-
moved.
Oh, no,
they
they
moved
moved
down.
further down. That's
cerca
right.
del parque, como 50
closer to the
50
park.
metros adelante.
Okay.
Yeah, closer to the park, and
It was where the Volcanica restaurant was, right?
Sí,
Sí,
Antigua
sí.
Pública.
Okay. They open at 11 a.m.
10 p.m.
until 10 p.m.
Eso.
You can come pick up. Starting on Monday, you can. Are you opening the restaurant for dining in? ¿Están abiertos el lunes para
Sí, todos
comer
los días.
en el
Sí,
restaurante?
exacto. Sim, el lunes estaremos abertos para que pueda visitar. Estamos aún arreglando algumas coisas, mas já está aberto para visitar o local. E pode pedir, enquanto isso, pode pedir por WhatsApp em 6546-5663.
did she say that they were opening for seating inside?
She did say they're opening for seating
So is it
inside.
25% capacity?
A 25% de capacidad en el restaurante, ¿no?
Sim, vamos a ter os espaços para que pueda.
You're going to space out the
Sí.
tables.
Sim, vai ter a distância para que pueda compartilhar algo com sua família, que normalmente vai a família, né? Então você vai ter um
So that the
espaço.
families can eat in the
Sí.
restaurant. They're going to space out the tables. They are only going to allow 25% capacity.
How many people is 25% capacity there?
It depends on the space.
Well-
¿Y cuántas personas son que caben ahí a 25% de capacidad de...
How many tables?
Bueno,
¿Cuántos meses, pues?
Sí.
Mesas, no,
sí,
no
nuestro
meses.
restaurante vai tener como al total va a caber como 100 personas al total que vai a caber. Entonces, ahora vamos a
100
funcionar la
people?
parte de la frente, de adelante, porque a parte de la frente es mejor. Para que
Tiene
atenda-
atrás también.
Sim, aqui temos dois salões. Um primeiro e o outro onde vai quedar o playground e uma parte do salão. Vai ter um playground assim que pueda, porque agora não se pode montar o playground porque os niños não podem jugar
La capacidad
juntos.
total de ese restaurante normalmente son 100 personas.
Sim, exato.
Entonces, un cuarto de eso son 25 personas
Sí,
que
por
pueden.
allá.
Ajá. Okay. So, official capacity of her restaurant is 100 people, and they can take 25% of that, which is 25 people at a time. They have a front and a back.
Nice.
Entonces, y entre los clientes se limpian todo con alcohol,
Sí,
desinfectan
exacto.
todo.
Exacto.
Do they have alcohol?
I do. Oh, sorry. That was my question. I forgot. This is English Spanish. So I asked between the patrons if they clean with alcohol, if they disinfect, and she said yes, of course. And you can also still order para entregar a domicilio, ¿no?
Sí.
Siempre se puede
Sí.
y siempre se puede llevar la comida.
Exato, pode pedir.
Uh-huh.
vamos
You can
pode
still
pedir,
order
vamos
takeout.
mantener el
Yes,
delivery.
you
You can still take takeout and you can still ask for delivery.
Still ask for
También
delivery.
Right.
Up
Pode
until-
pedir para agarrar em local
Aham.
e também levamos essa sua casa em 6546-5663. 6546
And
5663.
And it's not just pizza. It's pizza, chicken, pasta, fish,
Meat, exato.
meat, all kinds of
Variedades.
dishes.
Pastas, yeah.
Variedade. E agora vamos ter camarões também, pratos
Ah.
com salsa com camarões,
Now
pizza
they're gonna
com
have shrimp.
camarões. Vamos ter umas coisas diferentes e muito ricas, muito ricas.
Pizza con camarón?
Sim, vamos ter a pizza com camarões que
Pizza
é muito
with
rica,
shrimp?
Yum.
muito rica.
Uh-huh.
E pastas também com salsa de camarões.
Uh-huh.
But are the shrimp kosher? No, I'm only kidding.
Excellent,
E,
excellent.
e também o tradicional pão com crema de arroz e queijo, que é muito rico para que se coma de
Also,
entrada.
bread
Sim.
with cheese, which is typical.
Cheese bread. Oh, I love cheese bread.
E pode pedir sempre, todos os dias estamos abertos de lunes a lunes.
Okay,
Somos-
7 days a week they're open from
Yes.
11 a.m. until 10 p.m. Now, dining in at the moment is only until 7 p.m., correct?
Exacto.
Ajá.
Y después, delivery.
And after 7 p.m. is by delivery. So we still are under
Ahora,
the
a partir
curfew.
del lunes hasta las 11 de la noche, entonces puede pedir, puede local para agarrar o comer, y puede pedir en 6546, 56, 63, hoy, mañana, que pruebe algo diferente, aún lo último final de
Right.
semana de
All
cuarentena.
of you people out there that are getting ready to watch the college football games and the NFL football games, take advantage. Take advantage of the delivery service that they're offering. Pizzas, fish sticks, chicken sticks, pastas. What else did we say? Meats. Meats. Take advantage of it. Order in. Watch your games.
Yeah.
Zero stress. Or just sit back in your hammock and have a beer and a pizza.
Hey, you know, you just mentioned the games. So I do a monthly Zoom with two of my friends in Colorado, and one of them was mentioning that she said they use cardboard between the seats at the stadiums. And I'm like, they're letting people in the stadiums? And I was talking to my son, and he said, no, it's not. They use cardboard cutouts of people, and they put them in the seats so that it'll look like sort of like there are people there.
How funny.
So when you see a whole stadium, you're not just seeing
You're not
empty
just
seats.
seeing the empty seats.
You're seeing...
And they actually, what I've noticed, because I watched a couple of NFL games last weekend, is that you actually hear like the crowd and you hear the yelling, and it seems like they're using old sound clips from
Oh,
other
absolutely,
games.
absolutely. Although I imagine they're doing the live color talking about the games as they
they're
go
still
on.
doing the commentating,
Yeah.
but they are piping in, and I think you can actually hear it in the stadium, because I imagine if you're a player, you kind of feed off the energy of the crowd normally.
Yeah.
If it's an empty stadium and you're just playing a game, it's almost like doing a practice game or a warm up.
Right.
So,
right.
but yeah, and with the soccer games, I think they've got actual not holograms, but some kind of electronic picture of people, like, cheering.
Yeah.
and-
Oh, that goes up on the board on the
I don't know.
electronic
I
boards.
kind of
Yeah.
I thought it was
I'm-
also in the seats. I couldn't. Excuse me. I
don't-
couldn't tell,
I
but
don't know if they can do that in the seats, but they might be able to. Who knows? I understand. I was interested in the fact that horse racing is going to be open here,
without a crowd,
Without a crowd.
spectators. Yep.
but can you bet? Is there off-site betting here?
I think there is a way to do it. They would have to, because otherwise.
Yes, there are a few
Have you been
houses
doing your
house of
off-site
bed.
betting
I
already?
think they call house of bed and different through internet also.
Internet, right?
Yeah,
right.
then you can bet
Online
it through.
type of things that you can. Oh, okay, thanks, Bolivar.
Also, I think there is a TV channel on cable
Right, there is
that you can watch the
Hipódromo
races.
or whatever it's called, Hipódromo.
Yeah, Hipódromo TV or something
There
like
is
that.
Got a horse right here. His name is Paul Revere.
So,
Can do. So the horse can do.
so I guess our message to everybody, now that things are starting to open up, and I know a lot of people are upset because the beaches are not being opened yet, the rivers.
But they're coming soon.
The,
But it's by
in a
province.
couple weeks, and it's probably by province.
So
we
probably
still-
ours will not be opening.
No, everybody expected to be open this coming week, and it's not. But, hang in there, guys. It's coming. It's coming. The problem is, we're still trying to control the Chiriquí province. It's gotten pretty bad, and they are having to delay some things. And that's okay. Little by little, it's better to be safe than to have everybody sick.
I am a firm believer to err on the side of caution.
Everybody wants to travel. Everybody wants to go to the beach. Hey, so do I. So
And
do I.
everybody wants to take long hikes on weekends, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, I know. And, eventually, it doesn't sound like it's going to be that much longer. Hopefully we can control this thing. A lot of people are getting their second wave. And remember, the Spanish flu had like 4 different waves,
Yeah.
and it lasted 2 years.
Well, now they're saying we haven't even been halfway through the first wave.
I think
In a
we're
lot
getting
of
better.
countries.
Yeah, in a lot of, the United States for one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But we are learning better how to treat it, how to diagnose it earlier, how to treat it earlier, how to prevent some things. It's not foolproof. So you're seeing drops in the numbers of patients hospitalized, drops in the numbers of deaths because of this. But we're not out of the woods yet, guys. We got to hang in there. We got to do everything we can. Hygiene, masks, distancing. Slowly we're getting back to the new normal, which was what this show was about, the new normal.
Right.
And, it just takes all of us to cooperate.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the things that, other than very large parties and public celebrations, I think most of the things that we occupied our lives with will, within the next couple of months, appear again.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be seeing cabalatas,
Cabalgatas, the horse.
I don't think we'll be seeing
parades.
those. I don't think we'll be seeing the
Right.
feria open up for flower shows for a while.
Right.
I don't think we'll have a lot of public things going on
Right.
to
The
that
Fiestas
extent.
Patrias, the Fiestas Patrias, the Carnaval, and all
Right.
that. They're gonna have to figure out something because
Those
right now-
I don't see those happening within the next year even.
No, we haven't.
I don't see
gotten-
concerts happening. I don't see plays happening anytime too soon.
Okay.
But I think we're almost off the
Yeah,
air, aren't we?
we've got to go. This has been Talking with Your Doctor, and I'm here with Cynthia Slade. And Monday morning, Cynthia Slade and Barbara.
And Barbara Fiorucci, 10 to 11 on 103.3 FM, 103.3.
103.3. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Ciao.